Well, welcome. I am Monica Foster, the Managing Director of the Interim Executive Services Practice at Focus Search Partners, and I am thrilled to have David McLaren with me today. David was recently a CFO advisor for one of our clients. They're a plant-based food manufacturer that were on a journey to go public. David was instrumental in their RTO journey and managed to achieve record success in filing in 105 days. And part of our goal here with the Focus Forum is to bring great content and expertise. So David, I know that we have a 5+1 in terms of best practices and key learnings. And I'm so happy to have you here today to help these CFOs on their own journeys with any RTOs in their future. So take it away.
So Monica and I chatted mid-January this year, got a phone call from her saying, hey, we have a plant-based company growing, wants to go public. And I said, sure, I'll, in the summer sometime. And she said, well, 90 days. And I said, well, that's not going to happen. So, sort of engaged, met with the CEO, met with the board, and joined the business on February 1st with the mandate of, trying to get by the end of April, which is a pretty aggressive timeline. Really the key first thing for me there was to really put together what the key advisors were. There's a couple ones that I think people need to sort of think through. One is public and investor relations. So IR firms, we got them engaged right from day one. And the good thing about that is when they go public, you've got an IR firm that's gone through the process. And I guess the other thing too was really around, there's a couple of sub sort of advisors that people don't think about. One is your D&O insurance, your directors and office insurance. Going public is a huge kind of pressure in your D&O insurance. So I started day one and we got it done just before we closed the deal, but that was 3 months. So in the environment right now, people think, well, I'll deal with that later on. But you really right now, the environment for D&O is quite aggressive. So, people kind of think about that later on, but there's sort of a, for me, key learning was starting day one was a really good, key item that I did because it did take that long to go through the D&O insurance. But I think too, the way I kind of look at it is having, an IR firm or PR firm on board day one, it just helps you transition and they help you through that process too. The second one is establishing key timelines that are realistic. But at the end of the day, there's got to be a drop dead date. So, we picked the end of April. That's the date that Monica gave me, the board gave me, and we worked towards that. So I think having a good timeline, communicating with the management team too of the business, they're heavily involved, and impacted, but giving them weekly updates on where the process is. But really getting everyone on side. Here's the timelines. Here's where we're learning towards to make sure everyone's on board with that. I think getting that kind of lined up, then it kind of sets a stage for going into the sort of the next phase. Number 3 was really around the investor relations and investor presentations. So, I think in terms of learnings around that, keeping your deck to 25 to 30 pages is really kind of the sweet spot. And, a 25-minute presentation, really kind of get the business kind of presented, have a flow in it. And you really want to go test the waters with some investors that are really kind of giving you good feedback. They're not going to be sugarcoating. They're going to give you the straight goods on your presentation. We did 57 presentations. So we got it sort of down to an art and science. But what we did is after each presentation, we would do a quick phone call. Okay, what's working, what's not? And so a couple other things on the investor side. One is get them engaged as much as you can. So what we did is we actually shipped them samples of frozen product ahead of schedule so they could try the products. And it was a great discussion point. Hey, did you try the chicken wings? Did you try the cauliflower burger? And the last point I would make is investors invest in people. They don't invest in businesses. They invest in people first. And I think the fourth one is really around turning around documents. So I think you've got to have the approach that you've got to turn documents as quick as possible and really also go through them all, but you don't expect to be drafting them, but you need to really understand them. At the end of the day, I think I signed more things in the board and the CEO combined because my name's on everything too. So own it, and that's where you've got to put your signature. So you've got to review it and go through it too. So, and I think the last one is really about managing the day-to-day business. At the end of the day, people forget you've got to manage it. You're running a business. That's why you're doing this. So I would focus on the RTO, and then the management team would focus on running the business. So I think, I always like to add one thing. So one thing is have fun. Figure out ways to have fun through this process. It's a grind. So what we did is we got every employee in the business T-shirts with the ticker, stock ticker, and it was great. And then what we did is we had the opening bell. We had the whole management team there on the opening bell. They see the on TV ringing the bell and everything. That was great. So we did that. First time I've done that. So it was fun. It was just something at the end to say, hey, remember when we did this too. It's just kind of a good way to get people engaged. And it's a long haul of it, but at the end of it, it's great to have a celebration.
Well, there was a great case study that was published with the work and the management team and the investors. Could not sing your praises enough. I am a big fan of yours. I've been doing, interim and project CFO work for about 15 years. And as I've said to you before, this is definitely in one of my top 10. It was really fun to watch. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your experiences with the broader CFO community here at Focus Search. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for your help too, Monica, during the process. Great, thank you.
You got it.